Some people call it the war on Christmas, but tonight our focus is on every American's right to freedom of expression and freedom of religion. Doesn't matter if you're Christian, Jewish, or of no faith at all. In 2012 and right now, it's the Christians who are under siege by government officials and anti-religion groups who think Christmas and Christianity have no business in the public arena. Exhibit number 1. In Kansas, the city of Buhler has been forced to remove the cross from its city seal after an atheist group complained. Exhibit number 2. In North Carolina at Western Piedmont Community College, students were told they weren't allowed to sell Christmas trees if they were called Christmas trees. They wanted to call them holiday trees until their school finally caved. And finally, in Rhode Island, exhibit number 3. Lincoln Chafee is not backing down. The liberal governor refuses to call a Christmas tree a Christmas tree. Once again, he wants the holiday tree, and his office didn't even want to have a lighting ceremony this year. He caved only after enormous pressure. So, Eric, this is a turn of play now, because for years the liberals have said, oh, that the right, the conservatives are against the First Amendment, are against freedom of expression. But we're seeing quite the contrary at play right now.
Right. And we'll do it again. Let's read the First Amendment to the Constitution. Should we do that?
The whole thing?
Just the first line. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. It's groups like Freedom from Religion. They're their problem. They're a Wisconsin-based group that find different municipalities around the country, and they go make it their project. They go try and get on TV, make enough ridiculous noise so that people pick it up and say, hey, really, would this fall under the First Amendment of the Constitution? Free speech, free religion, First Amendment, back off freedom from religion. Can't stand that group, by the way.
All right, Dana, we're going to talk about a couple of these specific situations that are illustrating this point of what's going on across this country right now, where we're all watching it. They continue to blame the right, but in fact, when you look at who's culpable, we'll start with Kansas. Now, this is in the city of Buhler. They're going to remove the cross from their city seal and from all city properties because this group, Freedom from Religion Foundation, complained that it violates the establishment clause of the Constitution.
So one of the things that I looked into with this is that the seal was redesigned 24 years ago, and that's when a lot of these lawsuits happened. What they were trying to do here was not make a religious point, they were making a historic point, because their city was established by Mennonite immigrants who were seeking refuge from religious persecution. So this is a historic point. It is something that marks the town and makes it different, and that they have a point in history to look to. I don't think that anyone who put the cross on there was trying to make a religious point necessarily, though they might be faithful Christians. But the fact that their town was founded, you can't run away from your history. No one does that.
Now, Brian, the mayor there, Daniel Friesen, says that concerns over the lawsuit were a deciding factor in deciding to remove the cross from the city seal and redesigning it.
I blame your people, and not the Irish people or the Puerto Rican people.
Oh,
I blame the legal people, the legal people of this world. It's a fear of using taxpayer money to defend the right to show the cross that's having everybody cave. And this town of 1,350 people say, all right, we'll take it off. It's just too expensive to fight. We need people to donate their legal ease in there or send money to get a hometown lawyer to take them on.
Bob, you're a Christian.
First of all, of course I'm a Christian, but and by the way, just to indict all liberals, saying this is all liberals who are responsible for this is ridiculous. But,
well, that's what you're here to defend.
But I mean, I think the idea of the sales, the Christmas tree sales, or Chafee in Rhode Island, it ought to be a Christmas tree. That's what it is. Yep. You want to have a menorah, put a menorah up next to the Christmas tree and light it. Doesn't matter to me. But
then why do they do it, Bob?
Wait a minute. In Buhler, there is a distinction, and that is this is a city that takes federal, state, and local monies. And when you have a cross on even despite the history of it, and the Mennonites were persecuted, and they did go there, that does draw the line to me between church and state.
Well, what about by the way, Freedom from Religion picks out different municipalities. I remember last year there's one in Texas outside of Waco where they wanted they wanted them to remove a manger scene because it was a public park across the street and people in the park could see the manger scene.
Those are ridiculous. To take down
where do you draw the line?
Because this is a permanent seal of a city. That's a lot different than a Christmas display
And
at
Bob,
the public park.
let me tell you something. This is what's sad. They're deciding that it's financially more feasible and economic to remove the seal, redesign it, hold a contest in the city, and it'll cost $2,500
I
to then
understand.
have a law firm fight this and potentially lose it.
I
That's
understand
wrong.
that, but that doesn't change the facts that this is a permanent seal, 365 days a year, and it does.
But I bet you could find historic towns all across, at least, all across America, but certainly on the eastern seaboard, that have some sort of religious founding that use that in their documents or in their seals. But the point is that they would take city or state or federal money. Like, what entity doesn't take city, state, or federal money? Like, that is all across America.
I suppose you could
That's
argue.
uniform.
First of all, I'm not so sure that there are municipalities. Maybe there are, but I would be very surprised if there are, because they would have been sued by now if that would be the case. But the fact is that you're taking money, collective tax money, from people who are of different faiths, and it's going to Bueller's, getting some piece of that.
What if the people of Bueller, what if the people of Bueller or the town in Texas are okay with the seal?
Don't put the two of those together. Those apples and oranges.
Therein lies the difference. It's freedom from religion. They go seek out these situations when the people in the towns themselves say, we don't want your help. We don't have a problem with the manger scene or the cross on our seal.
But this is happening across the country. It's the insidious nature of it which is most disturbing, and that's why we're putting together the pieces here so people can decide.
I am second to none in fighting the
person.
idea of doing away with manger scenes in public property. I think that's ridiculous. It makes no sense. But that is very different than a symbol of or a seal of a town.
Bob, will you take a walk with me to North Carolina? Are you up to it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, fine. Let's discuss it. Western Piedmont Community College. So this is the one we discussed in our Exhibit 2. Regarding, there we go. Take a look at those beautiful trees. Oh, no, you didn't call them Christmas trees. You better call them holiday trees or they're out. Bob?
I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, particularly because this group was raising money for children in poverty. I mean, what?
It's terrible.
You're right.
I mean, I just don't get it. And they walked it back. The reason they walked it back was they got bad publicity. Otherwise, they probably would have kept going and banned the thing. I mean, this is the kind of thing that gives, first of all, allows the right-wingers to blame everything the left-wingers on all this stuff. So you ought to stop doing it, number one. But number two, it's a Christmas tree. Christmas tree.
Right.
Let them have it and let them sell it.
Well, and they're about to be ostracized.
The White
Bob
House, over the weekend, the Obamas accepted the Christmas tree when it arrived, and I think it's being put up in the Blue Room today.
Is it a Christmas tree? Is it
Yeah, it is.
renamed
No, it's a Christmas tree.
Eric?
What about that? Hold on,
Right.
Mr.
It's
Becker.
a slippery
Let's use your example of taking state and federal.
Yep.
The White House is built with our money, taxpayers' money.
I have no
Should
problem.
President Obama therefore call it a holiday tree?
I have no problem with doing things like a Christmas tree in the White House or a menorah or a nativity scene in a public property. I have no problem with that. I just said on this one case, I think it's a little bit different.
I think it's pretty bad.
I will say this. I think as a group, as a five, which I'm not officially a member, I'm filling in for Greg.
You're
but
still on a tryout.
Right. I think we should, I know, of course. I would say we should band together and promise never to attend a Western Piedmont College game, scrimmage, or even their.
Oh man, I got to give up my season tickets.
But the fact is that these students wanted to not do it. Let's not go there.
My whole season tickets are
Bob,
going to be
we got
lost.
another
That's
one
what I'm
for
saying,
you.
Bob. Make the sacrifice. Stand for something.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's go to Rhode Island now. This is another, hot story that people are talking about, because have you ever been to a holiday tree lighting? And this is really appropriate because right now in New York City we have the Christmas tree lighting. So don't try and come here because the traffic is horrific.
Right.
But what's going on in Rhode Island is they were going to hold a holiday tree lighting because you can't call it a Christmas tree lighting. Again, the same type of.
Well, same thing they did last year. This is the same thing they tried last year. This is Lincoln Chafee, who is pretty wacky, would you say? And for him to dress like Steve Doocy every single day, it's unbelievable, and it's getting on my nerves. So he takes over Rhode Island, and this is one of the stands he's going to have. So then he decides, I'll tell you what, since it was so controversial last year, I ended up caving. Let's just not even have a tree lighting. Then the people of Rhode Island get really mad and say, they want a tree lighting, they just can't call it a holiday tree.
First of all, he's not a wacko, number one. He's a good guy, and he's a good governor. But he went back on what the previous governor said. However, what do you think you put a tree up for and put lights and bulbs on it for? What else? Is there something else you call it? I mean, did any other religion have that as part of their symbol for the holiday?
Why would he try to alienate the people of Rhode Island?
Festivus.
Yeah, yeah, that's a poll.
It's a poll.
Right, and we celebrated that.
No, but I mean, you don't complain about
Festivus for the rest of us.
It was a fake holiday.
Festivus for the rest of us.
I think that they probably in Rhode Island and the governor's staff, around about July, they have a brainstorm meeting of their planning for the next 6 months. And on the agenda is a question of how can we drive the right crazy this year
but
with
he's
some
on
sort
the
of
right.
Christmas
He's
thing.
a Republican.
No, he's not.
But he is a kind of Republican. No, he
is a
says.
Republican.
He said, look, times have
No,
changed.
he's independent. Your man is independent.
Yeah, he left because no one liked him on the right or the left. He says, hey, we used to say the Lord's Prayer in school. We moved on from that, essentially saying, get over it, people. Call it a holiday.
What do the
trade.
atheists want us to believe in anyway?
I'm not really
Here's
sure.
the best example.
yes,
Here's
the
the best
Constitution,
example. On every single bill we have and every coin, in God we trust. I mean, there it is. It's money. It's God. Are we supposed
It doesn't
to
say in
separate that?
Christmas.
You know,
Trust.
that thing about he said
come
that
back
we
to
used
me.
to do the Lord's Prayer every day at school.
Yes.
You know what we had to eat on Friday?
What?
Fish sticks.
Fish
Why?
sticks.
Because of Catholics.
By the
That's
way,
why.
I love fish sticks. They're tasty and delicious.
these were
especially
World
Also
War
because
II.
of the lobbyists, and they figured it out to way to get into
the
the school.
Catholics,
At least
there were
you
so many
had
Catholics in our
something to
schools
eat,
that we
Bob.
had to eat fish sticks. That's why I hate
Guys,
fish.
real quick, because this is an example of the type of speech that the left likes to support, which is WikiLeaks suspect Manning, right? Who's looking at 32 years
Brad
behind.
ass. That's what he went on.
Brad ass.
That was his hand.
There you go. You're quite familiar with it. What do you think of that? Look at the juxtaposition and the hypocrisy.
Life in prison.
That's all?
He jeopardized national security. That is
But
totally
he's
different.
supported by the left.
I'm sure he can have a holiday trait in his cell.
They think
I will not take
Dana.
any. I will not take anyone from the left seriously about Manning until they support and try to
Nakula
get
Nakula.
out of jail the video maker who was jailed after the video.
You
There
realize
you go.
something on Eric's old show? I said on that show that we ought to get a hit squad together and shoot this guy. You know how much heat I took over that?
And now you'll get it again.
Look, he's
from who?
He's treasonous, right?
From everybody.
What's,
He is treasonous.
what's the top
Well,
penalty for
he
treason?
is treasonous. And they could have actually sought the death penalty,
Right.
but they did not. And he has a tremendous amount of support. The defense plans to call at least
Incredible.
48 witnesses on his behalf. They feel that he should be freed, that he's a political prisoner. He's complained about his confinement in Quantico. He's saying that it's a
Look
legal
at this
punishment
guy.
and he should be
Prison's
released.
confinement.
And he
Can you
released
imagine him
all
on the
those
front lines defending you?
thousands
Look
of-
at him.
I know.
Put
Well,
that picture back
thank
up.
goodness he's
Ask
gonna be
yourself this
behind
question.
bars
Will you
then.
feel really good about this guy being on the front lines? Whoa.
Meanwhile,
He's not going to be. He's behind
he's done more damage than Zarqawi to our national security, this guy, allowing all this stuff to get out there. We cannot be trusted in a lot of State Departments, international causes. They still have not forgiven us for that because we let this nobody download all
And
these things
therein
to
lies the
Mr.
difference,
Julian
Bob.
Assange.
The left says Bradley Manning should be protected under free speech, and the Christmas tree shouldn't.
The left does not.
There
I
you
just
go.
said what I thought you'd do with it. I'm on the left.
Pick your bedfellows, Beckel.
Many do.
All right.
I wouldn't get well. I
Come
was
on,
not saying I wouldn't get in bed with
Have
you, but I
seen-
mean that's not telling the truth. I mean,
Can we move on?
Wow. Coming up.